don't want to get married. You have to compromise in married life. You and he have to work it out. I don't want to compromise. I want to do what I want to do. I'm too independent for marriage. I'd be a terrible wife. And I'm no good as a housekeeper. I don't know how to cook. I'd be useless. Disastrous, I should say. Well, there was a Sudanese that I got very much interested in when I went to Sudan. Met him on a Nile steamer. He was a very interesting man because he studied in England. He was the town clerk of Khartoum, which is nothing easy to run. My mother never discouraged me from doing anything, except she was a little bit concerned about Mahmoud from the point of view of race. I went home, and he said it's his home. We corresponded for a bit. Sir Edmund Hillary was the finest person I ever met. I knew him very, very well. We were very close friends. He was honest. He was very modest. There were some tales that Ed and I were having an affair, but we didn't. No. No.
How many expeditions, roughly, do you think you've interviewed over the years?
No idea. Thousands. Tens of thousands. All this stuff now is fed into the database, the Himalayan database, the Expedition Archives of Elizabeth Hawley. And this is part of the history of the climb. You want to know how many Romanians have climbed the summit of Annapurna 4. Because you're a Romanian, and you want to be the first, but you want to make sure you're the first. Look at the database. That'll tell you. You're a leader. You want to lead a team to Annapurna 4. What route is most commonly used? What season do they do it in? Well, what's the date that most people get to the summit, who do get to the summit? It's very good preparation for planning for an expedition. Well, you have to assume they're telling the truth, unless a suspicion creeps into you that maybe that wasn't quite right. Or other people on the same mountain at the same time will say, well, they didn't really do that. Then you tag the expedition as disputed. So your Camp 1 was at 5,400, and you had gone over the ridge. Where was it?
Mr. Hawley, I was not on the ridge at Camp 1. Camp 1 was flat.
But where was it?
It was way higher, I'm telling you. You follow this route here, you go over this thing, because this is a big wall you have to kind of keep climbing. And then the 23rd, then I went up to Camp 2.
Okay. And
24th. We stayed at Camp 2. Camp 3, sorry, Camp 3, because we spent 2 nights at Camp 3. So 24th and 25th.
And 25?
Summit.
Just as simple as that, from Camp 3.
Do you hear a lot of comments? I was just concerned because I didn't know how you process all this information that comes down, you know, from the reality.
Yeah.
So what is the problem with the route? What are they talking about with Annapurna? About Annapurna?
About whether you got to the main summit or the middle summit.
Can you believe that? They couldn't get to the top. And so now they're telling Miss Hawley that I did not get to it. Oh, that's ridiculous. Sangi has summited, and they went to the true summit.
Okay.
And he took me to the same place.
I believe you. You went to the main summit. Okay, finished.
I was there. Cheng Dao was there. He was there.
Okay.
But there's 3 people that I know they weren't there.
Well, who were they? You're not going to tell me. Okay. Yeah, that's just a minute.
That's their conscience.
Yeah, it is.
You know?
I wonder how they live with a conscience like that.
Exactly. Yeah.
I don't have any reliable account that says she didn't, so I'll leave her. I credit her with a cent.
All of these archives, when you retire, how will this all be maintained?
When I retire or when I die, it might be the same thing. The actual physical records go to the American Alpine Club. And that's the problem, how to keep it going after I can't do it, but I'm still alive, and I don't know the answer. How are you going to keep them down on the farm after they've seen Paris? Well, the answer to that one is you don't keep them down on the farm. I really, who knows? So I got a call about 4 o'clock in the morning from Michael, my nephew, saying, Grandmother wants to come and stay with you. Somehow her arm got dislocated. She couldn't take care of herself. Well, she was 85, for God's sake. Well, I can take care of myself. I'm 88. What the hell? And she stayed in that room over there. We took her downstairs once, soon after she arrived. Carried her downstairs in a chair, and it just scared the hell out of her. She didn't want to go out again. About 2 days before she died, I think it was, the nurse said, your mother wants to talk to you. She was in bed over there, in that room. And she said, Elizabeth, let me go. Oh, I wasn't holding on to her, but she decided she'd had enough. And I can understand that. But she was only, heavens, she was only 86 and a half. But she wasn't being useful. Now, just face it. She wasn't being useful. She had to be cared for all the time. I guess I can understand that. But I'm not at that stage yet. I never climbed a mountain in my life, unless you count Mount Mansfield in Vermont, the highest point in Vermont, not even the highest point in New England. That is my mountaineering experience. I don't like going out into the hills. I like a comfortable bed. I like eating warm food on a table, sitting in a chair. I like comforts. I'm a city woman. So I can tell you how to get up Barunsa and about the crevasse that's there, and if you're going to try to cross it, you can't get across. You got to go down and come out. People don't believe me, but that's the way to do it. Yeah, the mountain, Everest, and tornou-se, and I can climb that myself with a different body. One of my servants found me on the floor. The last 10 years or more of my life, I'm never good about balancing myself. I always had a balance problem, as I called it. And I knew very well if I suddenly turned, I was going to fall over. Well, I suspect I suddenly turned, and I suddenly fell over. It fractured my hip. I didn't break it. I don't have to get another hip, but it had to be operated on, and a steel plate put in there, which is still there. When I finally got out of the hospital and could pretend to do some work, the only way I could get around was with a walker. Obviously, I couldn't go and see anybody. My driver could go and get people if it made sense. But I saw very few of the autumn teams last year. Michael, my nephew, and his wife have made it quite clear that they'd be happy to have me come and live with them. I'd be absolutely useless. I'd be so useless and such a drag on them. You do when you get old, you think about it. You know, when the clock is ticking. And I think, well, there goes some more of my life. Well, what can I do about it? I can't stop the clock. I can't stop my body clock. So there's no point in thinking about it, I don't think.
Would you do it again?
Oh, of course. Absolutely. I haven't got any unfulfilled wishes. What I want to do before I die. No, I haven't got any of that. I'm happy as I am.
How you gonna keep them down on the farm of the
I could sometimes get a little angry or upset that I had to prove my worth to Elizabeth, and I think I remember asking her, well, do you climb, or what have you ever, have you gone hiking? And her answering back, with great pride, of course not. Why would I do that?
I hope that also after her work, somebody would be able to fulfill this necessity to be a controlling point. But this is very difficult without the experience Liz Hawley has. All the lines of information are coming together in her mind, and she is able to give quite a clear view on what happened.
I remember our expedition climbing leader saying to Ms. Hawley that the routes were getting harder because the ice was melting out of the Himalaya. And her retort to that was, or maybe the climbers are not as good as they used to be. And it was really great because she just said it in a just total deadpan way. And she just put him right in his place. Just like that, maybe the climbers aren't as good as they used to be. And it was just a great memory of her because she's just like, she doesn't pull any punches.
I think I would have lost interest far sooner than she has. And I think it's remarkable how she's stayed on the job. And, well, I think it says a lot to her professionalism and her dedication. I mean, it's just, it turns out to be a lot of work, physical work, mental work to keep all of this sorted. And, yeah, I think I would have given up. I'm glad she hasn't.